In this video, we're looking at simple interest. So banks and other financial institutions reward investors by paying them interest on their savings or investments. Conversely, they charge borrowers by making them pay interest for any loans they have. So again, if you put money into the bank, they will pay you interest for having the money in the bank. Whereas if you borrow money from the bank, they expect you to pay a little bit extra on top of what you already owe. So the original amount of money borrowed or invested is known as the principal. Interest is calculated as a percentage of the principal, and the percentage used is called the interest rate. And it is usually written as per annum or per year. So annum just means year. So the simple interest or flat rate interest is interest calculated on the original principal. So that might be a lot of words to look through. We're going to do some examples. So there is a formula, and we say it's I equals PRN, where I is the simple interest, P is the principal, R is the interest rate, and N is the time period. So you may come across questions that involve rearranging of this formula. So I'm going to go through some of that now. So I equals PRN. If I'm told to find what the interest rate is, I really only need the R here. So what I need to do is I need to divide by PN, which I also do over there. So that gets me I over PN equals R. Now remember, there are times's in between all of these things here. Just remember, we don't like to put them in. Mathematicians are lazy. So let's say I have another version, I equals PRN, but this time I want to find what my N term is. So what I need to do is divide by the other letters, so PR. So they cancel out. I'll also cross these out over there. So I'm left with I over PR, R equals N. And obviously you can do that if you're trying to find the principal as well. So remember, you're always dividing by what you don't want. So we'll do our first question. Piper invests $17,000 at 6.45% per annum, simple interest for 4 years. To what final value will her investment grow? So start by writing down your formula. And now we need to start putting in our information. It is a good habit to start writing down things you know. So I know this is my P, so I'm going to put a P there. Here's my R, and over here is my N. So I know my principal is going to be 17,000 times my interest rate. Now there is a trick here. We don't like to put 6.45 there. We actually put 6.45 over 100 because we want it as a decimal, not a percent like that. Unless you use the percent button on the calculator when you're doing the calculation. And then we also want to times it by how long we're investing, so 4 years. So you go and put that all in your calculator and you'll end up with 4,386 interest. That's how much Piper is going to make. But the question, if you read it carefully, is final value. So what we need to do is we need to go final value is your original investment plus your interest. So for us, it's going to be 17,000 plus 4,386, which ends up being $21,386. So Piper has that much money at the very end of the 4 years. So here we have another question. This time it's for how long will 12,350 need to be invested to earn 1,778.40 if the flat interest rate is 2.4. So again, I'm going to start writing down what I know. I know this is my P. We know this is my interest, and I know this is my R. The only thing we're missing is N. So I'll write down my formula. Now remember, if I wanted to rearrange this, we just divide by our PR. So my N is going to equal I divided by PR. And then we can start putting in our value. So 1,778.40 over 12,350 times 2.4 over 100. Now, alternatively, if you wanted to make that a little bit neater, 2.4 over 100 is 0.024. So I could actually write 0.024 there. That looks a little bit neater. And that comes out at 6. And because we had PA per year, I know this is in years. All right. Next question. Harvey borrowed $4,000 to build a garden in his backyard. He repaid the loan at $128 per month for 4 years. So the first thing I want to do is calculate the total amount he paid for the garden. I know he pays $128 per month for 4 years. So 128 times 12 months a year times 4 years. So total is going to equal that. We end up with 6,144. So if I'm trying to calculate how much interest did he pay on the loan, that's going to be our total. So 6,144, take away how much he borrowed, which was 4,000. So he ended up paying an extra $2,144. So now we need to calculate the flat rate interest. So again, I equals PRN. We know N, if we go back up here, was 4 years. P was 4,000. And I was 2,144. We're trying to find our R value, so I know R is going to be I over Pn. I can substitute in our value, so 2,144 over 4,000 times 4. And that comes out at 0.134. Now remember, that's a decimal. If we want to go from a decimal to a percentage, we times by 100. So times that by 100, and we end up with 13.4% per annum. Alright, to recap the video, remember your principal is the original amount of money borrowed or invested. Your interest is calculated as a percentage of the principal, and that percentage is called the interest rate, and it's usually in per annum or per year. And the simple interest is calculated on the original principal. So we do have that formula, I equals PRN, where I is the simple interest, P is the principal, R is the interest rate, and N is the time period. Remember, you can rearrange it to determine what you're trying to find. If you're trying to find P, it's P equals I divided by Rn. If you're trying to find R, it's I divided by Pn, and so forth.